Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and this time we're going to take a look at the fourth part of a four-vlog series of my conversation with my friend and colleague Lenore. And so this time, after talking about the challenges that we face as instructors to transitioning military personnel and developing a sense and a reality of safety in the classroom, we're now going to talk about how project-based learning really is an effective tool to help all of these adult learners really understand what it means to be critical thinkers, problem solvers, and effective lifelong learners as they move from the military into the civilian sector and become IT superheroes. Please join me in that conversation. Where projects come into play, right?
Absolutely.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Certainly. So what we do is we have projects throughout the whole 2 terms. We have a capstone kind of project that goes from term 1 to term 2. It's an 18-week project. And the student they decide what the project is. We have certain parameters. It has to be, it's not a game, not built in Unity. So it doesn't use Unity engine. It could be a web app. It could be a mobile app. It could be a UWP. It could be whatever they want, but not that kind of, not a Unity game. Has to consume a database because this is a business world. That's our criteria.
That's standard
That's
criteria.
it.
Database
That's
has to
it
be
right
involved.
there.
Okay.
Has to have a database. Got to be able to store data and retrieve data. Whatever problem you want to solve, you come up with it. We let them come up with some ideas, then they whittle it down, then they decide which one they want. They do a presentation on it, and then based upon my own personal experience in software development lifecycle, it's more of an agile development lifecycle than, say, a waterfall development lifecycle, which means I like them to do their design work first, and I like them to come up with what it looks like. And based upon what it looks like, now you may be able to really, for them to visualize what it looks like, that's hard. And they all have a real big challenge. I mean, they don't even look at websites to get ideas, right? I'm like, look at a website, do some analysis there. What do you see? Go to one of your favorite ones. What do you see? How, do you want to do that? Do you want to translate that? Do some analysis. So it's hard for them to actually get a visual, but if they can visualize it, then they can start making the project. Because the first thing they have to do is visualize it. Then they can do some, we're object-oriented programming. So then they can create objects, classes from this. And once they have their classes, they can design a database. And once they have their database, they can start now storing data, retrieving data, making things happen. And all of this is over an 18 or 19-week time period. So in the beginning, I'm pretty specific as to what their role, what they have to deliver. By about week 10 or 11, I'm more like, you're going to tell me what you plan to accomplish in this week. You need a task list. Give them an example of what a task list looks like. And then every week you need to check off where you are. And this is so that you, when it comes to week 18 and you're doing your presentation, you have something to show. Because I've had students who had nothing to show, right? Because they couldn't seem to get, they weren't really that interested in programming after a while. They're like, it's not for everybody.
I was about to say that. It is not
It's
for
not.
everybody.
No. And that's okay. That's fine. No worries. You know, if that's the best you can do, that's the best you can do. I accept it.
So
but I
it
don't
sounds
want
like
them
you
to.
go from project to project manager.
They do both.
They do both?
Right. They do both because
Is
they're
that
building their
scary?
project. No,
Oh, okay.
no. When you're a software developer, you own your projects. That's what I did. I wrote here's what we want you to do. Here's the description. Here's the specs. You take that spec, you design it, and you build it, and you have to give them an idea of when it is you're going to be done with this. That's where you're doing your critical thinking, your self-assessment, and your self-learning,
Wow.
right? That's what we did. Okie dokies. When we started the brand new kind of, there was a company I worked for, it was called Bankrate, and they had a new redesign, a whole refresh for the website. And they started it from the front end first, which was new. I wasn't used to. I was used to doing database first design. So this was the front end first. And that seemed to be more prevalent in the industry. So I thought, I like this. It gives me an idea of what it is it's supposed to look like. Now I know what it looks like. Now I know what I'm expecting. Now I know what to wire up. I know what my objects are. It's all good. I could do this. So that's what I brought in. So we have to teach them about software development lifecycle because
Mhm.
that's a part of computer science. And people will ask you, well, what's the SDLC? Right. And you say, I don't know. I don't even know what that stands for. But I tell them repeatedly, this is the software development life cycle. It's more of an agile environment. You're doing sprints of 1 week. You're getting these things done in that 1 week. You have expectations at the end, that kind of thing. That's from term one over to term two. In term one, we have a small project that they work on as a group. I have them, because we're in Zoom, I can't like say pick a number from one to whatever and then assign all the numbers to work together. So instead I have them self-assign. So they pick out who they want to work with and we form groups. And so in the first term, we work on a project that's called the space game. And the space game, it has just a couple of criteria. Like you're going to have no less than 5 planets that you have to go to. And you're going to buy and sell things. And that's the criteria. Now it's up to them how they're going to build it, right?
Mhm.
Now they're going to do more design work. They're going to figure out. They don't really have objects by this part. They kind of get introduced to classes and object when we get to this point,
Mhm.
just as we're going through this. It's usually a 3-week project, but I'd like to give them 4 weeks to work on it because it gives them more time to up their game and make it more interesting. A lot of times students spend a whole heck of a lot of time on ASCII art because they're working in a console app. They get so attached to a console app, and I keep telling them, no one works in console. No, don't get that attached. Believe me. Just think about what's behind the scenes, not what's in front of the scenes. So they do that. And that's a first introduction to working. And these guys are great at working as a team. They know how to do this. They know how to work together. I don't get a lot of friction with them. They can assign tasks. Everybody has their own task. And because we're in Zoom, I put them into breakouts and I bop into each breakout and we review. I ask them to, when we're back in the main classroom, they describe what they're going to do. So they have to, there's criteria they have to follow. They have to tell me what the game is going to be. So they have to do whiteboarding. They're going to show me the design, what classes they're going to have, what kind of testing are they going to do. And we don't have a database in this instance, but we're not connected to the database at that point. But if they want to, they can store things in a file, or even if they want to go to the database route, they can. It's up to them.
Mhm.
So I leave it really open. So they have to explore and think about it and work with. They normally go beyond where we are. We may just barely be up to arrays at this part, let alone collections. So some of them discover collections on their own. Um, they don't always grasp the concept of an entity of a class, right? They
Mhm.
don't always get that a user is a user. Like you're a person, you have attributes and you have behaviors. You have a first name, you have a last name. Your behavior might be you walk, you talk, right? They
Mhm.
don't get that, but this allows us a way to get those concepts across. So that's their first project. And then we get to show it off.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, Lenore, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. That was a lot of information and it was awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Lenore, thank you so much for your time again. So, as we took a look at the building blocks of project-based learning in an adult learning environment, I loved how Lenore said we get to explore, and that is almost one of the essential components of PBL. We do get to explore. Now, it doesn't really matter what words you use. There are 3 foundations of any project-based learning activity, and we get to inquire, we get to investigate, and we get to collaborate. So continue as I always talk about project-based learning as the foundation of true educational culture. So, Lenore, again, thank you. And for anybody else out there who wants to be part of these really these conversations or these interviews or these Q&A sessions, please go ahead and contact me here on LinkedIn or on any social media platform, and let's have those conversations. I'll see you next time. Take care.